Cherie Mathieson from Big Notes Get Votes, and I hope that you are having an amazing day. Today, I'm coming live to you in the weekly live to chat through an element of singing, and that's because I'm a professional singer and I'm also a vocal coach, and I love to talk about singing. So, one of the questions that I get asked most often, and just as a little side note, if you're here for the first time, I like to come live weekly to talk about all things singing, but specifically the questions that I might have had thrown at me consistently over the last sort of 7+ years as a coach. But I have been singing for a lot longer, and so I have my own questions. And this one in particular, this element is something as a part of my singer's technique toolkit that I'm not great at. So this is something that I've really gone into the trenches with to try to get better at, because it's something that I myself am not so great at, but also something that I would get asked a lot when I was tutoring at mains, and it's something that I hear all the time from singers. I'll stop with the suspense. What it is vocal flexibility or vocal agility. And so I wanted to share the sort of top 4 ways that I have discovered of improving your vocal flexibility or agility. Now, I joke a little bit about just liking to hear the song as it was written. And usually there's a swear word with this, but I won't do that. But usually me and my girlfriends, we say, just sing the friggin' song, is one of the approaches that we like when we hear songs. But having that tool at your disposal to be able to melisma as part of your embellishments toolkit, your ornaments that you can use to kind of storytell with, I do believe it's a great strength. And so, like I said, I'm not great at it, which is why I didn't used to do it a lot. And now it's more about, for me, accuracy of pitch and the agility of moving through notes when there is a fall off or a run at the end of a line, so that I can really honor the sentiment and the storytelling. However, it can also be a crutch to not be able to sing a note straight and to move around the pitch center a little bit. So I wanted to give you the foundational elements there as to your options, essentially. Firstly, what it is. So a melisma or a vocal riff or a run is where you're moving through a couple of different notes within a time frame. So 1 bar or however many bars you want. There's no real rules to it, but what I like to think about is being intentional when we're singing. So knowing what tools we're using, knowing what they do, what they offer to the song, and to make sure that they're not just a part of our default storytelling tools that get brought out all the time because that's just what we do, as opposed to what's a part of our signature sound and intentional, and we're crafting and creating these elements of the storytelling. So after explaining what the foundations are, I like to say, be able to melisma, do your riffs and your runs as a part of your signature sound, intentionally, as a part of your storytelling, but also try to learn to hold the notes straight as well, just so that you have more options. But like I said at the beginning, we're going to talk about how you can improve your vocal agility or flexibility. So one of the first things is that understanding that the body is houses your instrument and is all interconnected. So in the sense that your larynx is made up of muscles and ligaments, and definitely needs to be stretched and kept as pliable as possible. And with the vocal folds, hydration is really important, but use is really important. And so what I like to start every day with is a Siren, which is a stretch for your voice. It's a chance to check in with your voice. And that's part of my daily vocal care habits. And I can link you to the 3 things that I do. I stretch my body, I do a Siren, and I do what I call speaking voice mindfulness, which is looking after your voice, the way that you use it day to day whilst you're speaking. I'll link you to a video talking a little bit more about that. But let's spotlight the Siren. What the Siren does is not only stretches your voice, it gives you a chance to check in, but it actually does allow more pliability and more flexibility. So if the instrument, the tool that you're using, is able to be more pliable and flexible, you're going to be able to maneuver it more intricately through different notes. And that would be the first thing. So the first thing is definitely to siren and make sure that your voice is in the best condition it can be. The other steps I like to look after as my entire person is sleep, hydration, and nutrition. And I'll also link you to a video about that. So then the next thing that you want to do is you've stretched your voice and now you want to challenge it a little bit. And so this is where your kind of vocal workout element would come in. And that's simply singing through scales. Now, when you're doing very general practice, any scale will do. And what you really want to try to do is do lots of different kinds of scales where there are different kinds of intervallic leaps or different steps that you'll be going through to challenge the coordination of your larynx. And it's out of context because it's not a song, but you're really spotlighting elements of the song as they might appear when you go to sing. You're just strengthening your coordination throughout all sorts of different vocal challenges. And now a really great way to start is as slow as possible. And like I said, do lots of different scales. And I think I have some apps that I'll link you to where there are 36 different scale options. And that's just the really standard Western combinations that you can get. So there's lots of scales that you can do. And not only does it strengthen your coordination of your vocal folds, it also strengthens your ear. So it's great ear training as well, which they all link in together. But the main thing is how it feels first, doing it with absolute correctness in the sense that technically your vocal health is on point, your larynx is nice and healthy, your vocal folds are nice and healthy, and then you're able to speed things up. So always start slow. And I've spoken with some amazing musicians that talk about their practice process, and they often, and this is like a guitarist friend of mine, Dixon Nacy in particular, he is an absolute machine, can shred across all different styles. However, when he practices, he slows things down. He goes back to the basics, goes back to the scales, and lets his muscular coordination have a chance to form those pathways. And you need to give your larynx that time to coordinate. And days are going to be different because your body houses your instrument. So your constant practice or including that scales into your daily practice is a great thing. At the moment, my personal practice around scales, and this is something I'm not great at generally, which is why I'm practicing it, is major seconds descending. This is a really important point, is that ascending and descending scales are really important to do. It's kind of like if you're at the gym doing a bicep exercise where you're only just doing the upward motion. You need to be able to work both opposing muscle groups so that you can have full range of motion or movement through the muscle. So I kind of have an exercise science background as well, and I like to train my artists like I used to train my clients in the gym. It's the same concept. Same along with how often you want to work out your voice. Use the gym analogy of depending on how active you are or how vocally fit you are. You need to ease into things. And this is the same with your agility workout. So you're going to do some scales. That's what you want to do. You can then isolate, like say in context, find a riff or a trill in a song that you really like. So one that I thought was awesome that I worked through was the trill in Countdown, Beyonce's Countdown. I'll do it slowly because like I said, I'm not great at it, but it's a so that she does that really, really fast at the beginning. So I broke it down. I charted the notes out. So I knew, because firstly, some of the issue with agility or doing melismas and trills is, what is the note that I'm meant to be singing? So I worked out exactly what the notes are. I charted it out. And then I used an app called High Note, but I think that might be there might be a new one now that you can get, or the Amazing Slow Downer, or any DAW, digital audio workstation, DAW, will help you to slow stuff down. And I slowed it right down and I worked out exactly how to do that particular melisma. So I've created a blog post that I've linked to the little charted phrase and a little audio of it being played as well, pretty averagely on the piano by me. But you can have a look at that and I'll link you to the blog post below. So finding a specific riff or trill that you want to work on and isolating the notes, slowing it down, and then working it back. Now, the next thing and the last thing that you want to do is you want to actually make up your own riffs and runs. So anything that sounds good to you, play around with it. Maybe take a pentatonic scale and work around those notes. A pentatonic scale is great because it's often used in contemporary music. And I always use, is it my girl? That dum bum 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 bum. That's basically a pentatonic scale. If you know the song, I got sunshine. So that little riff at the beginning, you take those notes and you play around with them, invert them, move them around, make up your own riffs and runs so that you're then improvising a little bit. Once you've worked out, you've strengthened the coordination of the actual instrument, you've done a little bit of ear training, you've picked a specific melisma or riff in context of a song, practiced that, slowed it down, worked out the notes, and then it's time for you to make up your own and have a little play around with them. So that is how I would recommend improving your vocal agility and flexibility. I'd love to hear if you've got some ways that you use to improve your vocal agility / flexibility. And if you've got any comments around any of those pointers, please leave me a comment below. If you like the video, if you're on YouTube, give it a little like and subscribe because I've got some good stuff coming out in the next few weeks. And you can also, let me know if there's anything that you specifically want to hear about, and I'll make you a little video on it as well. Have an amazing day. I look forward to seeing you next week.